Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you are standing in a room, silent, still, every wall pressing inward. The weight on your chest is not a rock. It is not grief. It is something heavier, the accumulated cost of every lesson you have refused to learn, every boundary you have failed to hold, every moment of your irreplaceable life you handed to people and things that were never worth the price. Most people will recognize that room. Most will step back out, scroll through their phones, and agree to forget it ever happened. But you are still here. And that is where transformation begins. The ancient Stoics did not promise you comfort. They promised you something rarer and infinitely more valuable, clarity. These are not 7 abstract philosophies carved into marble. These are 7 weapons forged in fire, sharpened over centuries, and handed to you right now, in this moment, when you need them most. Listen carefully. Your life may depend on what comes next. Lesson 1. You are the only architect of your life. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, and still he woke every morning and wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Let that land. The emperor himself, a man with legions at his command, understood that the only kingdom worth ruling was the one between his ears. Think of a person you know who waits. Waits for the right time. Waits for permission. Waits for circumstances to align before they dare take a single step forward. They are constructing a prison out of procrastination and calling it patience. Self-reliance is not arrogance. It is the quiet, courageous decision to stop outsourcing your destiny. Starting today, one decision, made solely by you, executed without seeking approval. That is how the architecture begins. Lesson 2. Your energy is a finite currency. Every morning you wake with a full treasury. Every complaint you engage, every toxic conversation you tolerate, every notification you allow to hijack your attention, each one is a coin stolen from that treasury. By midday, most people are already broke. By evening, they wonder why they feel so hollow. Picture a candle burning in a drafty room. No matter how faithfully it burns, if you cannot control the drafts, it will be extinguished before dawn. You are that candle. Your peace, your focus, your creative power, they are the flame. Guard the room. Close the doors. This week, identify one drain, one conversation, one habit, one open tab in the browser of your mind, and close it without apology. Lesson 3. Guilt and resentment are chains you forge yourself. Epictetus was born a slave. Physically bound, legally owned, stripped of every external freedom a human being can possess. And yet he became one of the freest men in recorded history, because he understood that no one can chain what you refuse to offer them. Guilt whispers that you owe the past something. Resentment insists that someone else's wrong should live permanently in your body, your sleep, your quiet moments. But carrying guilt over what cannot be undone, and carrying resentment over what you cannot control, is choosing to be a prisoner of a war that ended years ago. Forgiveness is not a gift to those who hurt you. It is a pardon you grant yourself. Set the weight down. You have carried it long enough. Lesson 4. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Seneca wrote, "Tell me who you walk with, and I will tell you who you are." He did not mean this as a social observation. He meant it as a warning. You are, in ways you cannot fully measure, the average of every voice you allow into your inner circle. Imagine planting a garden and then inviting people who bring salt to scatter over the soil each time they visit. No matter how faithfully you water and tend those seeds, the harvest will be poisoned. Boundaries are not walls built out of coldness. They are the garden fence that makes growth possible at all. Examine who sits closest to you. Ask honestly whether they water your soil or salt it. Then act on what you find, no matter how uncomfortable that action may feel. Lesson 5. Invest in yourself before the world demands its share. There is a version of you that reads, that moves its body with intention, that sits in silence long enough to hear its own thoughts above the noise. That version is not a fantasy. It is a discipline. It is built in the margins of the day, in the 30 minutes before the rest of the world has made its demands, in the quiet hour when most people choose the screen over the page. A blade that is never sharpened will hack and struggle and eventually crack under pressure. You are the blade. The reading, the learning, the movement, the reflection, these are the whetstone. Growth is not an event. It is a daily, almost invisible, accumulation. Tomorrow morning, before the phone, before the noise, 15 minutes. Just 15. That is where the compound interest of the self begins. Lesson 6. Presence is the rarest form of abundance. We live in an age engineered for distraction. Every app, every alert, every infinite scroll is architecturally designed to pull you out of now and into an anxious, scrolling nowhere. The Stoics called it living according to nature, being fully, completely, undistractedly here. Think of the last meal you ate, truly tasting it. The last conversation where you heard every word without composing your response while the other person was still speaking. The last sunset you watched without photographing it for someone else to see. Presence is not passive. It is one of the most radical acts of reclamation available to a human being in this century. Gratitude is what presence produces. Not gratitude as a performance, gratitude as a visceral, daily recognition that you are alive, that this moment is real, and that it will not return. That recognition changes everything. Lesson 7. Memento mori, the clock has always been running. The Stoics kept skulls on their desks. Not out of morbidity, out of honesty. They called it memento mori, remember that you will die. Not as a source of terror but as the sharpest possible reminder that this day, this hour, this breath, is not a rehearsal. Every year you spend waiting for life to begin is a year of life spent. Every dream shelved for later is a dream aging in the dark. The question is not whether your time is running out. It is. The only question that matters is what you intend to do with what remains. The philosopher in you already knows the answer. The courage is simply in acting as if you believe it. Turn your intentions into action. So here you stand, at the threshold of the only moment you will ever truly have, now. Not tomorrow. Not the version of you who has finally organized everything perfectly. Now, exactly as you are, with everything you know and everything you carry. The Stoics did not build their philosophy in cathedrals or ivory towers. They built it in the middle of chaos, exile, illness, loss, the same terrain you are navigating today. And their message across 20 centuries is singular and clear: you already possess what you need. The strength, the clarity, the capacity for transformation. It was never outside you. It was always waiting for you to turn your gaze inward and claim it. Do not walk away from this moment unchanged. Choose one lesson. Apply it before the day ends. Then another. Then another. That is how a life is rebuilt, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, relentless accumulation of better choices. The room with the pressing walls? You just found the door. Until next time, stay grounded, stay fearless, and stay becoming.